Hello guys, welcome back. I know I probably don't look my best. I laid down for a couple hours. I don't know what was wrong with me, but I'm feeling better. I've been doing a lot of room magic with Odin, and we've been going through a lot of past stuff, so I think that's it. And every time Tyr shows up, I know I'm going to have Tyr have to work with me. And I couldn't figure out why I kept going to these veterans sites that they all work with Tyr. And then I realized Tyr is the one working them through everything they're going through as veterans. Like, if you grew up in an abusive household, you always feel a little out of step with the rest of the world. Well, I'm not comparing that to having gone through combat, so please don't misunderstand me, but it lets me appreciate what they went through because decades ago, before it was a big known thing, um, I had a doctor say to my mother and I that I would swear you both were on a battlefield. What happened to you? Oh, at the time you didn't tell anybody. Um, and so I think that's why Tyr's showing up right now, because he's like, you're doing the deep work, and sometimes you just don't like the doctor who's helping you heal. So he's being very good about it. And Mommy's little pudding pop wanted him here. Benra wants him here, so he's here, and he will be taken care of. He got the little gifts that I make for them. You can see 4 of them up there because Odin asked for them. I think he asked for them for funsies and didn't think I would make them. But, I try to make the god things and I don't have money, so I literally have to use stuff that I get. And those are those crystal light things you get. And I'm like, well, it's a waste to throw them out, so I kept saving them. One is in the bathroom as a permanent home for the spider, so she's staying out of the tub as long as she has a home to live in. She's apparently happy now. And most of them I put runes or something on them, and I really don't end up putting anything at all in them. I just, it's something to make for them. And I have essential tremors, as you guys know, which means my handshake. So they're not perhaps the most beautiful thing, but it's something I make for them. So we have them up there for them. And I made one for Tyr, and I've noticed I automatically end up making stuff for Tyr. He never asks, but I end up, every time I'm working with him, I end up making him something. Like, we have his runes on the door. Tyr has one of those upstairs for Tyr. Tyr has one place, and Venver has one in another. And it's an adjustment period because as Dr. Crawford would say, what internet gurus think about Tyr, and we don't have any evidence other than if you do linguistic gymnastics, you could say that his name has the same root as Daddy Sky God, but we don't have mounds of evidence, guys. We have more evidence that Loki was worshipped as a deity than we do for Tyr. We haven't found a temple yet. We haven't found 5,000 carvings. We don't have a story from the Viking era of, Tyr and Odin meeting in combat, which you would expect if one god was usurping another for the head of Pantheon. Odin would love that story if that story existed, but we don't have that story. We only have 2 stories of Tyr, and the one is with Fenrir. And, we have that he sacrificed the hand, and which is where he picked up the kenning wolf leavings. And it's where the hand picked up the kenning of the wrist bones, picked up the kenning of the wolf joint. And we have the story of him going back home with Thor, and I think it varies from telling to telling, but at least Thor. And they went back and he stole a vat that was big enough that they could brew meat, and he stole it from his father. I'm not sure, since I can't read the original stories in the original text, how much is embroidery and how much is, what's in the original text. But we don't have that story of him Sky Daddy, him, Jupiter, Zeus. And we have to watch before we do that. You kind of have to learn the law to be able to break the law. Um, a good way to talk about here, but You have to learn the lore, learn the lore, and then you can go off and have all the personal gnosis you want. Like, we talk in personal gnosis every day on this channel, but we know it's personal gnosis. We know there's nothing in the lore that says that Loki likes spicy food or pop rocks or toys or anything else. There's nothing in the lore that says that Odin likes wolf plushies. Yet everybody that works with Odin eventually ends up with one. Well, at least all the females. And we do what we do today because it works and we share stuff, but we know it's not in the lore. It's not attested to in the lore. It's not attested anywhere in the lore, for example, that veterans groups should work with Tyr, but they've had a lot of good things with working with him because nobody has ever said, like, oh, Tyr, help me through this, but they're treating him more, like in this one group, as helping them keep an oath. Helping them keep an oath to each other, and helping them keep an oath to themselves, and helping them uphold the oath they have to take when they join the military to protect the Constitution and protect the people of the United States. I'm not crying, you're crying. And Tyr seems to be good to them. Even if he's not their, they're not saying, like in this one group, oh, Tyr has to now be your patron deity or something. But they do want this oath as an over oath for veterans in this group, if you get accepted, that you'll keep your oaths. It's kind of like, as the guy explained it, promise keepers for heathens. And they have meetings in that, and they do everything they can to help the veterans, which is, I've noticed now, the more I'm working with him, there's two types of Tyr's people. There's the people that actually work with Tyr that are too busy doing work to actually talk about Tyr because they're doing all the stuff and they kind of keep anything they do with Tyr close to their vest, and they're not going to discuss it 'cause it's none of your business anyhow. And the people who believe in Big Daddy Sky God, who can't shut up about Tyr and are crying about how maligned he is and how Odin's a dirty thief. And I'm like, what part of the lore is this in? Oh, this is magical made-up lore. I get it. And I'm not going to say somebody can't believe what they want to believe, because they're obviously going to believe that. If they want him to be big magical daddy sky god, fine, but that's not Tyr's function in the lore, and it's certainly not his function as a deity. You can go back before Tyr and worship an older god, who you would name as closest as I believe T was, is close pronunciation. I'm going to get to it. That is a totally different deity. That was the proto-deity that was seen as giving. In fact, a lot of people would prefer to worship him because that takes care of the nasty problem of Odin and everybody else, because they just worship this primary proto-deity, and he has two hands and he gives and he's generous and he loves his people, and that's great. So you can do that, but you can't start having a very lazy belief system. Tyr of all the gods would not want that. Odin, of course, will say whatever Odin has to get Tyr in place, and I even asked them today, I said to Odin, I said to Loki, or I said, are you sure you don't want to be the one doing this? And Odin has his own reasons for wanting Tyr here, and Loki has his own reasons for wanting Tyr here. Little pudding pop Fenrir wants him here, so that's why he's here. But yeah, and he wants to be here. He's indicated he wants to be here. He's indicated he wants his temple to stay up. As long as I don't touch his temple, everything is fine. And his temple is nothing but beautiful woods and wolves. That's what he has in that temple, but we do not touch the temple. I really don't visit it. We still have that energy thing where we can't get really super comfortable. He's trying. I'm trying. It's no longer a thing about how people claiming to represent him treated me. It's just we have this hurdle to overcome. I hated Odin to death when I first met Odin, so it will eventually calm down. This is actually a good sign, guys, that I kind of, both hate and love him at the same time, because I hated Odin to death when we first met, and Odin knew it. Odin knew I hated him. I love him very much now. I'm extremely loyal, but I hated Odin when I first met him. He knows it. He knows it. There's just something in my nature, and as I'm admitting that's my nature, I'm making a lot of progress a lot faster. But when I meet a god I need to work with, I hate their guts. I can't stand them. There have been a lot of gods that I have loved that won't give me the time of day, but if I hate them and I can't stand them, that's the god I need to work with. At least that's how it works for me. So we'll have Tyr here, and I do have quite a few being points saved up, and it's kind of funny every time I'm going to be doing intense work with Tyr. We are doing candle work together. It seems he comes around, and I always have a lot of being points saved up, so I think I'm probably gonna end up giving to a veterans association again, which I don't mind. That's what we do. I don't have enough readily available cash to give, but Tyr seems to like good works, and he seems to like, either supporting veterans or doing whatever we can. So that's not me, by the way, guys. I'm not telling you, oh, look what I'm doing. Just a suggestion. If you can do something like that, or you can do a Kojia or whatever you want to do, it's all good as long as you're, supporting the general good. Blah, 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 blah. So, I have a catch in my throat, so I'm going to cut this kind of short. But I figured I'd let you guys know that stuff's kind of settling down. Odin said that he's claimed to be TR before because I wasn't ready to work with TR. And I had to get over some stuff, and Tyr apparently thinks we're ready to work together because he let me find out that whole comic that that person based their thing on that they thought was this great lore thing was actually done by somebody that's into Dungeons and Dragons, and they really don't believe in the gods as actual gods. So, because I was like, there's just something wrong with this. Why doesn't Tyr look the way we've heard him talked about in, every other context? And that's why they base their whole personal gnosis of Tyr on a comic that a Dungeons and Dragons fan did. So that was great. So if you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.